and welcome everybody to Todd's 10. I am your host, Todd Kiper Berman Jr. We're going vertical today, folks. So that's right. I'm standing up for this presentation. Excited to be here. Excited to be previewing Week 4 of Ingram's League in fantasy football. And my, what a week Week 3 was. We have some major shakeups in the power rankings. I'm just going to get into those right away. Let's not waste your time. First in the power rankings, Return of the Walrus, Max Goldsman, last year's defending champion, a two-time champion. Can he take home the third title this year? So far, so good for the Walrus. He is the Eggman. He is the Walrus. Make America Gronk again, Nate Sprunk's team. There has been a name change coming in at number 2. Robert Kraft defense team at 3. Super spreader Shane Wormuth at 4. Cactus Jack sent him to the 5th spot. That's right. Screwed up and drafted Odell as 6. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 7. Trump Train 8. Little Deuce Coops 9. Slater and Golterman 10. Count of Chicago 11. And 12 the Oracle that fortune teller, that gypsy, whatever he visited, didn't work last week. I apologize if my head gets cut off a little bit in the frame here. Little French Revolution stuff, guillotine, boom. Going against Napoleon, not good. Not going to do that today. Not going to have a little short man syndrome because, again, we're going vertical. We're standing up. We're doing the deep ball. We're talking. We're walking. And we're previewing Week 4 of the Fantasy Football League. That's right, folks. And I'm going to get right into it. The first matchup of the week is going to be our matchup of the week. That's right, folks. We have Shane Wormuth versus Brett Kohler, Robert Kraft defense team versus Super Spreader. This is a battle for Chaska High School. This is a battle for those stomping grounds, those sacred, holy grounds. When they're looking for the Holy Grail, it's somewhere located under the Chaska High Gymnasium, the second gymnasium, the back one. And that's where it's located, and that's what is at stake here. The rights to the Holy Grail that is Chaska High School. And that's right, the Hawks, a lot of inner Hawk carnage. I'm going to do too many lacerations, skin things, all kinds of crazy stuff. This is a battle for Chaska. And let's get right into it. The matchup of the week, number 3 and 4 in our power rankings. And let's break it down right now. Looking at the quarterback position, Gardner Minshew taking on Patrick Mahomes. You got to give the advantage to Patrick Mahomes and Shane Wormuth there, coming off a huge week, a week winning performance by Patrick Mahomes last week. That was like 6 W's in a row, 7 W's, and you get A&W root beer. That doesn't make any sense, but we're moving on to the running back position. Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt versus Dalvin Cook and Todd Gurley. I'm going to give the advantage here to Brett Kohler. Kamara and Hunt have been an absolutely lethal combination at the running back position. Excited to see what they can do moving forward. I'm just going to move my cursor to make sure I don't accidentally pause the video because I've done that once already. I deleted the video. So we're not going to do that again because that was a catastrophe, just like the wide receiver position is for Shane Wormuth. That's right. Look at that transition, folks. That's a professional transition right there from Todd Kiper Berman Jr. You're welcome. Welcome to Todd's 10. Darius Slayton versus Curtis Samuel versus DJ Shark and Michael Gallup. Actually, both wide receivers position are quite terrible. But I'm going to give advantage to Brett Kohler. Gallup coming off a huge week. Shark, the number 1 target in Jacksonville. I think he's going to see a lot of action here versus Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think that's going to be a high-scoring AFC South for AFC North matchup. We got North-South Civil War going on here. Not like the war we have going for Chaska High School. Tight end position, Hunter Henry versus Noah Fant. Noah Fant going up against the New York Jets today in what is the most boring Thursday night football game we've ever seen. Expect him to have a big day. Expect Brett Kohler to have the advantage at that position. Now, Shane Wormuth is favored to go 109.02 to 106.5. Looking at the flex position, that's not why, though, because Brett Kohler's Myles Gaskins, one of the sneaky waiver wire pickups, an IR pickup last week, turned out to put in a big week for Brett, which led to a victory over him, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Some would call that an upset victory. But yes, I don't know why I said it like that. But anyway, Scott Hampton is back, and he's in me. He's Todd Kiper Berman Jr. versus Antonio Gibson. Let's see what he does against that Baltimore defense. It's a tough Baltimore defense. Defensive kicker doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with the upset here pick. I'm going to pick against the grain here, against ESPN, and I'm going to go Brett Kohler, Robert Kraft defense team, going to 3-1. Chaska High School is his. He ran the morning show. He made that whole school laugh. That was a school of 2,000 kids. He made them all laugh. What have you done, Shane Wormuth? That's a challenge. That's to you. Chaska High School will be Brett Kohler's this week. Now moving on to our next matchup. That's right, we're feeding big cocks, and we're doing the Trump train. Okay, Nate Sprunk. That's hilarious. Looking at the matchup here, though, the quarterback position, Josh Allen versus Deshaun Watson. Probably one more intriguing quarterback matchups of the week. Let's see who wins that. I'm going to go Josh Allen due to his scramble ability. That Minnesota defense is terrible, and I can't pick against the Vikings. Skull Vikes, can't see the cans there, but I'll talk about them later. Anyways, moving on to the running back matchup. Melvin Gordon, Devin Singletary for Nate Sprunk. Not sure how you're winning every week with that running back combination. And so that's why I'm going to give the advantage to Rex Burkhead, Nick Chubb. for the Trump train for David Kolb. The train is a chugging, it's a choo-choo, it's not getting held up. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Western Outlaws, not that kind of running back position for David Kolb. I think he has the advantage. Looking at the receivers, though, this is where really Sprunk's team takes all of it. Takes the Goldfish, Pizza Flavor Goldfish. That's a plug. Our program, of course, brought to you by Pizza Flavor Goldfish today. Calvin Ridley, Devontae Adams versus Adam Thielen, and Mr. Moore from Carolina. You got to give the advantage to Sprunk. That's absolutely elite wide receiver room. Something you envy, something you build up through years of solid drafting. This guy can fucking draft, man. He's a great player, great wide receiver room. Looking at tight end position, though, the namesake here, Mo Alley Cox for Nathan Sprunk versus Mark Andrews for Trump Train. Recently acquired Mark Andrews. Mark Flower, what were you doing tailing somebody with this trading somebody with the same name? That's cardinal rule number 17 of fantasy football. If you draft somebody with the same name, you have to keep him on your squad. That's good luck, that's good vibes, good vibrations. Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, what are you doing there, Mark Flower? Anyways, I'm going to give the advantage here to Nate Sprunk, though. That wide receiver room, it's just too dominant. He is favored by almost 20 points versus David Kolb this week. And again, I'm going to go advantage to Nate Sprunk. Moving on to our next matchup here, and it's an exciting one, folks. That's right, we have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who is 2-1, versus Little Deuce Coops, who was ranked high in the power rankings last week. Very high in the power rankings, but guess what? Those rankings didn't reflect victories. Rankings do not equal victories, folks. That's something you have to keep in mind when watching this program. Now, looking at the prediction, we got 114 versus 111. Little Deuce Coops, Michael Zimmerman is down. He's a 2-point underdog. And let's look at why. Lamar Jackson coming off a rough week for Little Deuce Coops. I think he has a bounce-back game against that Washington football team. When will they come up with a name? Nobody knows. I can tell you it'll probably be sometime within the next 3 to 4 years. Anyways, Cam Newton going up against Kansas City defense, which has been surprisingly good. Looking at the running back and wide receiver position, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson, Robert Woods, Allen Robertson, George Kittle, who looks like he's a go Sunday night for the 49ers. I think that's a great little group there for Cam Herman, but let's see what Mr. Zimmerman has cooking up in the pot. You know, he's a master chef. He likes to stir things up. He likes to keep people on their toes. He puts a little salt, little paprika, little bit of Parmesan, a little bit of basil. Keeps you on your toes, real Italian fresh. Even though he's from Chicago, guy, Italian beef, that makes sense. Anyways, looking at it here, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham coming off a huge week for the Bears. The Bears are back. Big Dick Nick leading him. I think he connects well with Jimmy Graham here. But I am going to give you advantage to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think Carson has a nice game. Edwards-Helaire is going to have a big breakout game versus the New England Patriots. Robert Woods, Allen Robertson, that's a lethal combination. It's got to be hurt, get burned by your own Bear, Mike Zimmerman. But let's see, maybe the other matchups will pay off here. Looking at the defense here, he's got the Bears defense. Good for you, Mike Zimmerman, sticking with the pride of the North. Versus the Ravens defense going up against Dwayne Haskins in Washington. An unfortunate matchup for Zimmerman there. I've been talking a lot about Cam's team. And again, this goes back to you, Flower. Cam Newton. Cam. Good luck, winning team. That's what makes sense. Anyways, that's what makes sense. You keep the guy on the team, and that's why I'm predicting a win for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air this week. Now, looking at our matchup here, we have the worst team in the league. That's right, the Oracle, a guy who's struggled the past couple of years. Had a great season a couple years ago. Came off I think it was a 2-loss season. Almost a championship. I believe Goldman won that year, but it was a 2-loss season for Tom Hummel. He's a good player, having a bad year. But let's see if he can turn around this week. The Oracle, went and visited the Oracle. The spoon did not bend. There was no spoon. There was a spoon. He was trying to do the Neo stuff, dodging bullets, got absolutely shredded to pieces. Swiss cheese, that's what his team name should be. Swiss cheese matrix. Anyways, looking at the matchup here, Joe Burrow going to have a nice day against Jacksonville for Tom Hummel. David Johnson, Davis, McLaren, Evans, Ertz. Pretty good lineup there. CeeDee Lamb in this flex position. That's a sneaky flex play. I really like it there for the Cowboys. Now moving over here, looking at Dylan Crane's team. Screwed up and drafted Odell, but what he has not screwed up so far is the season. Having a really nice year. Dylan Crane, the master bettor, some guy who just does all these crazy things. Bovada, Vegas. Vegas loves him because he keeps him fed, but he also makes some good bets. And he has a good team right here. So let's look at here. Kyler Murray, Ezekiel Elliott, Sony Michel. Probably my least favorite play on the squad, but he's got DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., Dalton Schultz. A lot of Dallas love so far for that lineup for Dylan Crane. Now looking at here, A.J. Green as well in the flex. That's a sneaky play against Jacksonville. I think he has a nice night. He is handicapped by Burrow there for the Oracle, Tom Hummel, or again, Swiss Cheese Matrix, as his team name should be called. He visited that gypsy. I think he visited the fortune teller, the Hindu fortune teller, and I think he's fortune telling a win here. That's right, folks. I'm going with the upset this week. Congratulations to the Oracle. You're coming off your first victory this week. Crane, I think you have a hell of a squad. I just don't think this is your week. The matchups looking good for Tom Hummel. Now moving on to our next matchup. That's right. We have our number 1 team versus our number 5 team. This was in the contention for matchup of the week, but I couldn't do it. The Battle of Chaska High School was too intense. Anyways, again, we're going vertical, standing up. I hope this is adding to the presentation. Next thing we're looking at here is the return of the Walrus versus Cactus Jack. Sent me Cactus Jack, a big favorite. That's right, a 10-point favorite going into the week. Let's see how it's going to play out. Looking at the return of the Wallace roster, we have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Miles Sanders, Darrell Henderson Jr. is having a great season for the Los Angeles Rams, really emerging with Malcolm Brown being dinged up, Cam Akers getting dinged up. Florida State running backs very often get dinged up in the NFL, and Cam Akers is no exception, and that's why he went out and got Darrell Henderson Jr. He's not the 4th, he's not the 5th, he's not the 3rd, he's the 2nd, and he's the junior. Darrell Henderson, congratulations. That was an awful. Anyways, running back position though for Cactus Jack is where he really thrives. He's got Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. He's got Matt Ryan going up against the quarterback for Cactus Jack. And I think he has a nice matchup there against Green Bay when it's going to be a shootout down there in the dirty South. I really think Matt Ryan has an opportunity to have a nice game there. I'm going to give the advantage to getting there to Cactus Jack. He got sent by somebody. Nobody knows where he's getting sent to. It could be a Chick-fil-A. It could be some kind of Burger King, McDonald's, maybe I'm guessing some sort of fast food establishment is where Cactus Jack is sending him. Looks like a little bit of revolution there. Anyways, looking at the wide receiver position, Kenny Galladay and Justin Jefferson for Max Goldman. Jefferson, a sneaky pickup off the waiver wire. I know Brett Cullen put in a lot of money for him, was excited, thought he was going to be on his roster this week. Ended up with Ayuk, not great. Would have loved to have his hometown guy, Jefferson, going up Chino in the Battle of Chaska High School, purple and gold. Anyways, the wide receiver position, though, for Dan Ingram is absolutely fantastic. Julio Jones, DK Metcalf, you cannot beat that kind of combination. DK coming off a huge week, could have been even a bigger week. He would have kept running the ball, not got it popped out. That's why we're standing up, folks. Look what I can do. I can animate plays. I can do this. Look, I can drop back. I can scramble in the pocket. I can almost trip over headphones. I can run. I can throw. I can do so many things, and that's why we're standing up, and that's why it's exciting to be a part of Todd's 10 today. Excited to be with you, folks. Now again, looking at the matchup here, the tight end matchup, Darren Waller versus Logan Thomas. Definitely have to give the advantage to Darren Waller there. He's putting in what some would say is an absolutely phenomenal season for the Las Vegas Raiders. Max gambled on him. He rolled the dice. He played a roulette. He came up snake eyes, and he came up victorious. That's a great pick to Matt Goldman. That's why you're number 1 in the power rankings. Although, again, not favored this week. Robinson, Lazard, flex matchup. Tempting flex matchup. I'm going to go Robinson. He's going to get a lot of carries. Again, I think that Cincinnati-Jacksonville game is going to be absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Probably one of the best games. I think it's going to come down to the witching hour. You know, Scott Hansen's going to be all kinds of jacked up about that 10 o'clock game. He loves those 10 o'clock games. He loves getting the blood boiling. And I think that's going to be a big game for James Robinson. Looking at the defenses here, Cardinals, Chiefs, Zane Gonzalez, Joey Sly. Joey Sly coming off a huge week for Cactus Jack. Again, I'm going to go upset this week. I'm going to go with the number 1 team in the power rankings. That's right, folks. I'm going to go with the Walrus. Yes, he is the Eggman. He is the Walrus. Goo goo gajoob. Congratulations, you're going to get a victory this week. Cactus Jack sliding down the standings after what would seem as a favoritism. Number 1 in the power rankings last week, although that is a really good squad. Great wide receiver room. Saving my butt there for future power rankings. Anyways, moving on to our final matchup of the week. That's right, the Count, the Admiral, the General, the Something of Chicago. That's right, Mark Flower, the Count of Chicago. Versus Slater and Goldman. That's right, Jordan's Malentine, named after 2 fellow brothers in the fraternity that he was in. Slater and Goldman. And Goldman, an owner in this league. Slater, a former owner. Let's see how this match is playing out. Big favorite there for Jordan Allen this week. Looking to bounce back from a 1-2 start. Looking to get back to that 500 mark. Count of Chicago, also looking back to the 500 mark. Big difference between 1-3 and 2-2 in fantasy football. Usually 7 wins gets you in the playoff. Each win you get that week moves you forward to closer to 7. That's how it works. When you get a win, you go from 2 to 3. When you get another win, it's 3 to 4. And that's what both of these teams are looking to do this week. Anyways, looking at the quarterback matchup, Russell Wilson, who was absolutely cooking, throwing some paprika on that pork tenderloin. Russ Wilson going to tear up the Miami Dolphins this week. Although Dak Prescott versus Cleveland is another tempting matchup. This is a quarterback matchup for the ages, folks, for the centuries, for the French Revolution I mentioned earlier, guillotines cutting off heads, Napoleon, all that fun stuff. That's what this quarterback matchup invokes. Invokes revolution, invokes great games. Looking on to the next game, we have, looking on the running back position, Austin Eckler, Nyheim Hines versus Joe Mixon and Jonathan Taylor. We got the battle of Indianapolis running backs. Who will get most of the carries? I see Chicago getting an early lead in Indianapolis, therefore leading to a big day for Nyheim Hines. That's a sneaky play right there. Austin Eckler versus Joe Mixon, pretty even. I think Eckler's actually going to have a big day. And therefore, the running back position, I'm going to give the advantage to Mark Flower. That was a perfect cross. You see how I pivoted on my foot. This is what they call professional pivot. Left foot, pivot, turn, and then boom. Land right on my marker here, and that's what I do. This is what we do at Todd's 10. It's a professional program, as you can see. Moving on to the wide receiver position. So stupid. Moving on to the wide receiver position. Devontae Parker versus Tyler Boyd. Tyler Lockett versus Keelan Cole Sr. Flowers going for that double dip. He made an interesting trade this week. Some people would say the trade was not very good. And I am one of those people. I have already bashed the trade publicly that this was not one of the best trades we have seen in the history of this league. But let's see if that double dip pays off from this week. Tyler Lockett had put up a 35 spot last week. That's right, a 35 burger, a quarter pounder, a 3/4 pounder, a Fuddruckers style burger with those potato wedges on the side last week for Tyler Lockett. Let's see if he double dips there. And I'm going to have to give advantage, though, overall depth to Jordan Allen. I like Devontae Parker. I like Tyler Boyd. Getting a text there. Anyways, moving on, looking at the tight end position, Travis Kelce versus Hayden Hurst. Travis Kelce obviously has a big advantage there for Jordan Allen. Just a constant target machine. The guy catches the ball, he moves forward with the ball, he scores touchdown, he gets catches, being a PPR league. Even better for Jordan Allen, a big advantage for Jordan Allen this week. That's a Big Mac advantage for him. That's what we're going to call our advantage of the week. Something I just came up with here on the spot. Advantage. Congratulations, Jordan Allen. Looking at the flex position, Emmanuel Sanders versus Will Fuller the fifth. That's right, he has a V in his name, folks. Can't wait till I see somebody with a Z in your name. It's what's probably going to happen with a Generation Z person. One of those TikTok stars is going to name their kid John June. It's going to be like Gunnar Samuelson Gray the 7th. And it's going to be like a Z, though. They're going to make a 7th a Z. It's going to be exciting to see what this generation does with their names. They're already naming people after Game of Thrones characters. What will they do next? Will Fuller, a part of that trend with a V in his name. Let's see what he does against a guy who has an S in his name. That's right, Emmanuel Sanders. I'm going to give advantage to Will Fuller here. I think he has a nice day against what is a horrible Minnesota Vikings secondary tank for Trevor, folks. Looking at the defensive matchup, the Saints versus Detroit. Broncos versus New York Jets. The New York Jets are abysmal. The Broncos aren't much better, but I do think they have a nice game tonight against Sam Darnold. He's seeing ghosts, been seeing him for years. He's been calling the Ghostbusters. Bill Murray's retired. Harold Ramis, rest in peace. Dan Aykroyd, too busy making Crystal Skull vodka. Sam Darnold not getting the help from the Ghostbusters team. They are a New York-based company, not helping a New York-based quarterback. Apparently, they are Giant fans. Go Eli, we miss you. Looking at the kicker position, Justin Tucker versus Harrison Butker. They're probably the two best kickers in fantasy. Going to give the advantage to Allen. And again, I'm going to give the game to Allen. Huge advantage projected points-wise, and a huge advantage on the scoreboard. He has the advantage of the week with Travis Kelce. So that's everything today, folks. I am Todd Kiper Berman Jr. I hope you enjoyed this version of Todd's 10. Have a great week for everybody in Dan Ingram's league. Excited for the game.